2010, and things are going quite well. Got quite a lot of route planning done, probably half the route done, and I've started working on the car. Done a few bits and bobs to make sure that nothing's going to deteriorate further. So before I start doing big work on it, because I'm planning to put an air conditioning unit on it, I just want to tidy up a few things on it that aren't working when we got it. I'll show you what I mean, what wasn't working. So here's the wagon here. So inside it's all pretty clean, but a few things that weren't working. I'll show you. So if you look at this, the passenger window, you see me clicking it there, isn't going down or up. That's one problem. Another problem was the interior light didn't work. So how to get that sorted, I'll just show you where it is. It's just that one there and that one. So when the door opens, the door's open but the light doesn't work. So I want to get that fixed. A few things on the bonnet that just weren't 100%. Get this open. Here's the engine bay, all very tidy, not too many problems. But this hose here and this hose are connected to the heater in the cab, and the valve. See, that valve there isn't actually connected to anything. So a wee bit there. So I want to get the heater working before I put the air conditioning unit on. And another thing, these two spotlights up front, they're wired to a switch. As the key, they're not actually wired to a switch. You see that switch there? So just a few wee niggles to get sorted out. Plus there's an MOT coming up end of July, so another 10 days time, and the handbrake isn't actually working that well. And when I say that well, it's not actually working at all. So, oh yes, and I've done the front hubs. You'll not be able to see it here, but there's a big set of bearings that go in there, and they were all replaced, and the CV joints are re-greased as well. So that's the plan for today, try and get those wee niggles sorted out. So here we go. Wee niggly bits that wouldn't really fail an MOT, or they don't affect the actual working of the vehicle, but how can I put it, they impinge your happiness when you're driving it. It's just such as it's handy to have electric windows, especially when it's the passenger side and the far side if you need to put the window down for something. And the interior lights at night, definitely. When you open the door at night and it's dark inside. So I wanted to get those ones working, as well as the front spotlights. Okay, we're not using that much here, but they're useful if it does get foggy. And as well as the rear wiper. Not so much when it's raining, but if the rear window gets dirty, it helps if it works. So I was able to get all those fixed. That was a simple fix. That's the interior light done, and the window wing, that was a relatively easy fix. Just a few loose contacts, and the plug was actually just corroded on the window. So as you can see that the interior lights are working. I'll show you them off. Off. There we go. And I'll just pin this up, and we'll push that down, and there goes the window. So that's that done. So another thing that didn't actually work was I'm going to put this on the rear intermittent on. So that's the rear wiper, and as you can see, it's not moving. So that needs fixed, so we'll see if we can fix that. Right, I'm going to start the handbrake now, as it's one of the main ones for the test, the MOT. So just reposition the tripod. So with the rear brakes, what the problem was is the handbrake didn't work. I initially thought the handbrake cable had stretched too much, and that it was the adjuster screw inside the cab was the problem. But upon further inspection, I realised it was actually the shoe and on the rear brakes. Now the way the rear brakes work on this car is you've got the normal disc and pads at the rear as in a disc brake setup, but the handbrake is actually two shoes on the inside of the disc, almost like an old drum handbrake. So you've got disc and drum set up on this vehicle, and the shoes are housed inside the disc brake. So as I pulled the handbrake, the lever pushed the shoes against the drum, but obviously the drums and the shoes had worn slightly, so that at full stretch the shoes weren't actually touching the drum. So in order to adjust this, I had to take the drum off, check the shoes were okay, and then adjust the shoes and put the disc and drum back on. Now getting it off was difficult. The problem was, you can see me here getting the wheel off, that was easy enough, but getting the disc off was the difficult part. I needed my dad's help, and what we had to do is we had to take the caliper off the carrier and then take the carrier off the hub. That meant we can get the disc off. Now taking the caliper off the carrier, that was difficult enough. One of the bolts actually sheared on us when we were taking it off. Tried to heat it up and use some release agent, but still sheared, so we were down a caliper bolt. And you can see Dad here, he's giving me the air wrench, which is a very useful tool, but we still managed to shear that bolt on the caliper. We then had to get the carrier off the hub, and that was even more difficult because in order to get the air wrench at it, we had to remove the suspension strut. And even removing the suspension strut in itself is difficult enough, but the air tool came in handy. So we eventually got the strut removed, and then we got the carrier off. And once we got the carrier off, we take the drum off, adjust the shoes. That was the easy part. Put the drum back on, get a new bolt, put the carrier back on, put the caliper in the carrier, put the new bolt in, and then put the wheel back on. And then just adjust the lever from inside the cab. And once that was done on that side, I then had to do the other side. So that's one side done, which was quite difficult to do. So now moving on to the other side. It was an absolute pain, so try and get this other side done. So this is me doing the other side. It was quicker than the far side. Basically in, up on Jack's wheel, off, take a quick look at the disc and the mechanism. It seemed fine. It wasn't as hard to adjust. Certainly no problem with bolts and calipers shearing and carriers braking. So it was basically just a quick, would have been what, an hour job if that. I did free up the actual handbrake mechanism just to make sure it's all working, and once that was done, down on the ground and rolled out of the shed. So that's us finished the rear brakes. They were tricky and tough, and snapped a few bolts and broke a bit here and there, but got that sorted, so hopefully that's that done. So next thing is probably air conditioning to fit, which would be an absolute, going to be a joy, but see how that goes.